At this time, I'd like to introduce you to someone who truly is living the empowered life. Mike McCord is a commercial appraiser for the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and he's been coming to Unity since 1996. Now, Mike has served as a prayer chaplain. You might know him as the leader of our green team. But Mike's story is truly one that is an example of living the empowered life. And so I'd like to invite you to join me in welcoming Mr. Mike McCord to our platform.
Thank you, Brandon, and thank you for having me here today. You know, when I got up this morning, I was getting ready to come, and the first thing that happened was one of my contacts went into an alternate dimension. I swear to God, there's no way. I was like, after initial panic, I said, how am I going to do this? I decided, well, I'll wear my glasses. So that's no problem. But it did remind me of something that I learned 11 years ago that is very important, and that's that anything can be taken from you in the wink of an eye, and that you really should be thankful for every moment because it can happen so fast. Well, that's what happened to me in 2001. One night, early in the morning, I fell down some stairs and broke my neck and was left paralyzed. They gave me I learned later, much later, that only about 10% of the people with that kind of an injury ever walk again. And it was really quite a shock to go from being normal one day to, being totally dependent on others the next. Well, there's a lot of information that happened, a lot of things I learned, but 3 days afterwards when I was in the intensive care unit, I didn't even realize how bad it was, but I knew it was bad. I remember asking God, I said, well, what am I going to do to get out of this? And immediately 3 things came to me just like that. And they said, do what's doable whenever you can, work on your areas of strength first, and don't give up, which I took to mean to believe. So I took that as a mantra, and I had my ex-wife write that down and put it on the wall, and I used it for the next 6 months. Anyway, it was, initially I couldn't even sit up at all. I would just fall over like a potted plant. They'd sit me up like, boom. It was, I couldn't move. I could move one arm a little bit. It was really serious. So the first day of therapy was complete failure. So I went back to the room that night, and I was just almost in despair. So I couldn't sleep, and so all night long I just looked out the window at the rehabilitation hospital. Well, then as the morning finally came, the light began to change, as the sun began to come up and the colors began to change from dark blue to purple to gray as the sun came in the sky. But then pretty soon I saw flecks of birds in the sky. And suddenly I began to change. And then the sun came up, and I could everything became a miracle. Everything in the universe became a miracle to me as I was laying there. Even the sun reflecting off the brick that was outside my window looked like the eye of God. And in that moment, I feel that, in addition, I should say that I begin to see inside other people. I saw how lonely we all are and how we need one another and how we can make a difference in each people's lives. I really believe that at that moment is when my healing began, because that's when I turned away from fear and opened my eyes to love. And it's been that way ever since. And I've learned, of course, in Miracles teaches the same thing. So anyway, that was a huge component. But it wasn't hard and it wasn't easy. I had to start from that point, worked for months, and things began to come back, fortunately. I also had time to meditate and vision and do all these things. I had nothing else to do, so I would vision and I would listen to Deepak Chopra. I'd listen to all kinds of things. What I learned was that people that have remarkable recoveries, there's some things in common. And one is to have a clear intention of what it is you want, and you got to really be clear about it, and I mean that. And it can be no other way. Secondly is pray as though it's already done. You don't ask for anything. You're taking what is yours, and that is health and abundance. The third thing was to take action, and that's also very important because it isn't going to happen unless you do it. And so you have to do that. And finally, I learned that the universe is a vibration, and through consciousness, all you got to do is change that vibration, and you can manifest your own life. And it's so Unity, and Unity played such a huge role in this, I couldn't begin to thank you. But I did take that to heart, and after a while, some of the therapists began to call me 24/7. And that's why I'd look every moment of every day I would work on something. Anyway, it's a long story. I told them I was going to get back to normal. I was going to jog again. I was going to climb mountains. I was going to do all these things. And they kind of looked at me, my therapist, and he said, well, that's nice, Mike. You do that. Let's see if we can get you walking here first. But they didn't say no, and I thank them for that. At any rate, I finally was released from the hospital, and I could walk. I still have I still do have a lot of heaviness on one side of my body, and every step's difficult. But the day I was out of the hospital, I had 8% the strength of a normal person. Well, in the ensuing months, more things happened, more tests. It was quite a point in my life. I broke my leg, fell down and broke my leg. I got laid off of my job. My wife divorced me. All kinds of things that it wasn't all straight up. It isn't a straightforward path of all peaches and cream. I can tell you there were some dark days. But through it all, I believe that it was still not if, but when. Finally, 30 months, and there's a lot I could tell you, but finally, 30 months to the day of the injury, I did do something that I told them I was going to do when my 2 sons and I climbed Mount Elbert, which is the highest mountain in Colorado. It took us 7 hours to do it. It was like a 4,800-foot elevation gain. Really difficult, but we made it. And had it not been for Sean and Ryan, I wouldn't have been able to. At one point, I was falling backwards, and they saved me. Once they had to help me with both arms to get me going again, but because it was a real struggle. But we did it, and it was an amazing experience that I'll never forget. So what did I learn through all this? And there's so much that Unity has taught me that was a part of it. But basically, there's 4 things, and that is to be thankful for every moment, because it can be taken from you in the wink of an eye. And so enjoy every moment of your life. Another one is to never give up on your dreams. Jesus even said this, that through faith, belief, and action, you can create your own reality. And thirdly, and really importantly, the true purpose of life is inner peace. And you surely don't have to climb a mountain or do any of those things. You know, it's all about you, and you can be happy where you are, whatever that is. Even if I had remained paralyzed, it's all a matter of how you want to look at things. And finally, I guess the most important thing, and you've heard it here before, that love is the most important thing in life. It's all that really matters, along with non-judgment, because without it, we're really nothing. So thank you so much.